Okay, so now that you know why do we need to defoliate, I'll show you a bush or two, if you have the patience, how to basically do it and not get in trouble by damaging the plant too much, and also get, you know, beautiful fruits. This is called pyramid, by the way. Anyway, we're gonna do this one, which is not touched yet. I've only defoliated a couple of many weeks ago, tiny bit here, and they are chocolate cherry. So let's start. When I plant my tomatoes, I always do 2 in a seed. This is a sucker, for example. I'm going to take it out, and 2 in a seed pods, and then as I keep on transplanting them in larger pods, I divide them and I push them out of each other as much as possible, so that when I plant them outside in the same root ball or in the same spot, I have 2 beautiful tomatoes. And you know, they're not competing because I put on top mulch and rabbit manure and all kind of amendments that I make myself here, natural, no chemical, no synthetics, and you have beautiful yields. But even like that, you can have better and healthier yields by pruning them. And when you do the pruning, you want to assess the bush and prune 30%. As much of the stem as possible should be cleared out for airflow. Tomatoes are vicious when it comes to fungal diseases. They die literally overnight. They're very sensitive. They will, look, it's very windy now. They will survive storms, winds, scorching sun. Doesn't matter. They're good for that. They'll get a bit of leaf curl and that's it. But when it comes to fungal diseases, they will just fade away, and it can happen. It happened to me last year and it wasn't pretty. But still, I'm obsessed with tomatoes, and I have 50 linear meters of them this year, 75 species. Let's get to work. So this is the midway. This is the middle of the plant, and I'm using this as a gauge as a point. I'm gonna bruise it a bit here just to make sure that I know what not to go over. Still, that's half of the plant, and I said 30%. So we're gonna start at the lowest point, and just make sure that you don't cut, or you're not gonna cut the fruiting twig body. Sometimes these fruiting clusters, they have a continuation that looks like a leaf, and in a clustered busy bush, you can get confused that this is a leaf and actually cut it. So always analyze, look good, well, before you cut, and when you're sure that it's safe, make the cut. And look at this humongous leaf. Now, this video may not be super interesting for all-time gardeners, but this is mainly for people like me who just left the city, who've been dreaming of living this type of life and homesteading and gardening for all their life and finally did it. But I remember the first time I had to defoliate, I had to prune anything, especially like the fruit trees in the late winter, early spring. It was painful, and not painful in the sense that I'm a squishy, sensitive snowflake, but you're not used to this. This is not your life. You didn't grow up in this, and you think that you're gonna harm the plant, so you hesitate. But know this: when it comes to plants, pruning is one of the best things they can do if done right, because it encourages new growth, it encourages evolution, it encourages healing, and the same like when we stimulate our immune system, we become stronger, better, healthier. The same small stress, small damage is going to make your plants healthier and happier and produce better fruits for you. They are going to be medicine. Look at this beautiful cluster of black cherries. Yeah, so yeah, this video, if you're a super mega professionist, if you're what's his name, the old Corleone guy who died in the tomato patch after a life of crime, if you're that kind of farmer, then you know, don't give me your BS that this and that. And for you guys who just started on this path, just know that if you are gentle and you don't take more than 30%, your plant is going to be just fine. So here is a perfect example of what I mentioned before. A termination of this cluster, fruiting cluster, was wrapped all around this, and it's a leaf. Now when it comes to the fruiting clusters, I would advise you to leave the leaf attached to them, because it's feeding the cluster directly. You can defoliate around them, but if there's a leaf attached to the fruiting cluster, leave it there, and that's going to ensure that there's enough photosynthesis to feed directly into the fruiting cluster. So that's good. When pruning and I lose like one tomato to 50, I keep these tiny baby ones green, and when I have enough for a jar, I make a simple basic salt brine and I pickle them, and in a week I'll have pickled green tomatoes. And boy, if you never tried them, give them a go, because they're delicious. So I'll put this in my bucket. And if you checked my channel before, you know that I actually love suckers, and I don't hate them like many people do. And because I love them, I leave specific ones, the ones that I deem healthiest and strongest, to grow. And this is a prime example of a sucker that I can harvest now. I'll snip it here, defoliate the bottom, and still leave usually 3 sun leaves to keep it grow. And then I just put it in a jar of water. And these are the suckers that I've taken today. Most of them have already flowered buds, and the reason why I do this is because I can get an endless amount of tomato plants throughout the growing season, because the suckers, they're not new plants. They're not like a seedling that you just started from seed and it needs to get to maturity to even flower. They're already a mature baby plant. That sounds strange, but it is true. So as soon as these guys are going to get rooted up into water, I'll transplant them into small pots, give them a week to grow their roots a bit stronger, and then I'll just transplant them back. Just the other day I transplanted 60 seedlings in an empty plot that, well, is not empty yet, but it's going to be empty when I'm going to harvest the garlic. So I just pre-planted it, because garlic and tomatoes are good companion plants. And not to take away from this, but there's another tiny suckers. Now at this level of the season, at this time in the season, which is almost end of July, I don't keep tiny suckers like this anymore. I keep them only in the early stages like May, and if I'm desperate, June. Otherwise I just hold on to the big ones, because each plant produces so many suckers. The reason why the plant produces so many suckers is that they strive to branch out, to produce as much fruit as quick as possible, because they kind of know the growing season. They know how many months, how many days they have, and also they know how much nutrition they have into the soil. So if your soil is good, mine is not good yet. I've been building it for 2 years and it's still not where I want it to be, but it's much better than before. But if your soil is really good and fertile and full of nutrition, your plants are gonna try to sprout as many suckers as possible and produce as much diversity and genetic diversity as possible, because each sucker is going to produce a different variety of genetic material from the fruits that they're creating. So don't hate suckers, use them. I mean, look at this guy, look at this beautiful one. And even if I'm not going to go up and prune more, I'm still going to harvest large suckers as I go. Here on the top, I'll take this one. I mean, I'm not going to keep anything smaller than this. And even if I said I'm going to stay below this line, if there's any huge leaves, I'm going to take them out, but especially from the back and the front. So my property is south facing, so the sun rises from there and it goes all the way there. and I'm trying to get these plants to get as much sun as possible early in the morning on this side and late in the evening or throughout the day on this side. Also, the airflow is very important. So what I'm trying to say is that you don't take from the side leaves, but you take however your property is facing the sun to get as much airflow and sun as possible. Back and forth, back and forth. Okay, so the first plant is defoliated, and this is how it looks. I'm not saying that it should look like this for everybody. I'm not telling you how to do your job, just telling you what works for me. And they grow right now in this part of the season like crazy. Like every 2-3 days I have to come back and trellis them, each and every one of them, all this row and then 2 more rows, because if you don't, they become laggy, and if they have fruit and they're heavy with fruit, they will fall. I mean, look at this, it's 2 freaking suckers in one spot. I understand why people hate them, but still, there's so much benefit of having them. Instant, this in 1 week of rooting in the water, and then another week in the pot, and they're ready. In 2 weeks you have a mature tomato plant. Anyway, I forgot to say something. Safety first. So if you can, when you defoliate, use gloves, because the plant is going to produce, tomato plants are nightshades, and they're going to produce poison, some kind of a poison. It's not going to kill you, but it's going to create irritations, and it's going to, maybe if you're allergic, God forbid, you know, knock on wood, maybe it will give you an anaphylactic shock. So wear gloves and protect your hands whenever you prune tomatoes or anything from the nightshade family, just so you don't get in trouble, and instead of enjoying this time and getting the best out of your time in nature, you're gonna actually end up suffering. I'm not wearing gloves at the moment, not because I want to say do what I say, not what I do, just because my last pair of good gloves got busted yesterday making biochar, and I just don't have any spare and no extra money right now to buy some. So I'll take one for the team, wash my hands as often as I can to remove this chemicals that the plant produces naturally as a protective mechanism, and I'll be fine. Been doing this for a while, so it's just like when you work in kitchens and you're a chef and you burn, cut, scrape yourself every day, not because you're a bad chef, but just because shit happens, and that's your job and you live with it. Okay, so easy, easy, easy. You guys love each other too much. But again, look how much space and airflow they all have underneath, up until the ones that we're working right now on, which are those two, and we're gonna move quickly if you have the patience to the golden currants. This is essential right now. They have the airflow that's gonna mean that even if you water them later in the evening, which I don't advise, you water them in the evening but not before the sun goes down fully, so they have some time to dry up. But even if you make a mistake, or even if it rains all night, the wind will blow and the leaves will dry up, because it's not an over cluster, you know, it's not crowded AF to develop those fungal diseases. Okay, now if you are still with me and you didn't run away, look at this beautiful tomato, 2 tomato bushes, 3. There's another sucker that I left here to grow, and I'm gonna let it go because this is a heavy producer. I mean, look at this, look at this abundance of tomatoes. I just love these ones. They're so small and beautiful and cute and nice and sexy. Anyway, let's get to work. I keep falling in love with these tomatoes every time I work with them, but the same rules apply. And if anything, you want to leave a bit more leaves when you have a heavy producer like this. Still, I am taking each branch, each arm as an individual plant, even if it's connected to the main mother plant. I am pruning it in such a way. Oh wow, these guys are so clumped together. I am pruning them in such a way as they are individual plants. Okay, wow, this is gonna be difficult. The struggle is real, people. Okay, we'll leave this for a second. Let's just prune some more, because right now a lot of the leaves that need to be pruned are holding us back from. Okay, so you see this sucker, for example, most people throw away, but mine already starting to open and have seeds, no, flower clusters. I have a huge plantation of borage underneath, and I keep pruning it and it keeps comes back, and I'm grateful for it because it keeps all the aphids away from the tomatoes. So it's like a sacrifice crop. But also, I don't know if you can see it, bees. It's a hot spot for pollinators. So all these flowers that you see, they're all gonna get pollinated just because they're in close proximity to the borage. So I'm not gonna remove those suckers. I'm just gonna let them produce for me as many tomatoes as possible. Okay. Another thing that we didn't really have to do here, but we will have to do on the honeybee, is trellis it. All of these arms, all of these branches that are producing so heavily, they must be trellised. And when you have them so heavy with fruits, it's good to trellis them. I'm gonna give you an example. Let's use the banana as an example. When you have a heavy producer like this, as literally physically heavy, you want to use a metal string wire that's coated in plastic, and it's very important to be coated in plastic or like whatever, silicone, something that's coated, because if it's just plain wire, every time the wind blows, it's literally gonna act like a saw and just keep cutting at your plant. Whereas when it's coated in plastic, every time the wind blows, it just slides, so it doesn't damage it too much. But yeah, the point is because it needs to be trellised, so that's what we're gonna do. That felt like, you know, bomb squad. That felt like I defused the bomb. Wow, that was stressful. But why is it stressful? There's just a plant. Well, yeah, it's a plant. It's just a plant. But I love these plants. These plants are the entities that are going to feed me and my family for the coming winter. So I treat them with love, I treat them with attention, and I try to do my best not to make them suffer too much. Just a bit of suffering to make them stronger and better. Okay. And now we're going to trellis this. You want them to be trellised just because, I don't know if you've ever seen wild tomatoes, the ones that haven't been domesticated, growing in Central and South America. You imagine that nobody's going there and trellising them, so they're literally like zucchinis or like squash. They just sit on the floor and they multiply the best way they can, which is basically through suckers, millions and gazillions of suckers. And they're small and they're I mean, I wouldn't say ugly, because I consider all tomatoes beautiful, but you know, they're unkept, and when they're unkept, they're susceptible to disease, like I said, to fungal disease. Still, there's something beautiful about them. I'll just, until this guy is gonna grow big and strong, I'll take the top part of this string and trellis the taller part of the plant. I mean, it's catching up quite quickly, but still, I'll take this arm, this branch, and I'll trellis it above. See, this is why I love nature, and I consider nature the most abundant element in our life. Because look at this, look how many tomatoes just one, well, two plants can have. Insane. I'm still cutting suckers because they're big, and this is that's why I wanted to show you guys two different types of bushes. This is a bush that likes to go wild because it has such a high productivity, such a volume of productivity, whilst the cherry chocolate cherry, likes to go up, and you know, it likes to branch out at the top, and you can see the thickness of this. Basically, what was a sucker, but I've allowed it to branch out so I can get two, they're called main leaders, whereas here everything wants to be a main leader. And I say, don't fight nature. If nature wants to give you insane abundance, I say allow nature to give you insane abundance, because why not? Like, wherever you look, there's clusters upon clusters. But the main idea here is to trim as much as you can in a healthy way without damaging the plant, and the plant will be grateful and give you even more productivity. It's just like us pruning, you know, you do cut your hair every now and then, you do cut your toenails and fingernails now and then. Don't do it every day. I don't do this every day, but like a couple of times a season, it's a must. Oh yeah, oh that's tight. I did it still. And now we're gonna come on this side as well and prune a bit. So many, so beautiful. Also, the good thing about this specific is that he uses compound interest on its leaves, because it has so many branches and because it goes crazy with multiplication through the suckers. It has leaves everywhere, and it's connected to the same root ball, to the same plant. Even if I said I'm treating them like individual plants, make abstraction of that affirmation and know that all leaves feed into the same root ball, so you can get away with a bit more heavy pruning. Okay, you, Mr. Sucker, are going out, and you, Mr. Leader, are going up. It can be a bit overwhelming at some points when you just don't know where to trellis them anymore, because they go insane in the membrane. So this is a perfect example. So you have the main leader, at least the one that I chose, and then from close to the main leader you have one branch and another branch and another branch. Yeah, beautiful, 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 beautiful. Oh, don't cut that, don't cut that. Again, yeah, I'm telling you, it's like being a bomb squad engineer. I always think a couple of times before you make a cut. Don't cut that, don't cut this. And why did I take the wires? Because I want to trellis some stuff, but one thing at a time. Okay, I'm not gonna wire this specific one. I'll try to just wrap it around this pole, and hopefully that's gonna be okay. Not okay, hopefully that's gonna be enough. Okay, that needs to be trellised on the other side. Okay, okay, dun, 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 dun. Okay, you, Mr. Bush, you will be trellised now.
I think I only have these two plants and then just another spot of this honeybee, because imagine 75 varieties, and I have a very limited space here. I have a 1000 square meter garden, which is a fifth of an acre, and I cannot use everything just for tomatoes. So for example, I'm trying to use some popcorn, have peppers, onions. On that side of the property, there's the orchard, which is mainly fruit trees and berry bushes. So I only planted two seed pods of each in order to still get the variety, and at the same time, okay, where are we going? We're going like this to get the variety and also to get the space availability. I wish I had raised beds to fight a bit the slug problem that I'm facing, but hey, one day and one day at a time.
Okay, that's enough. Also, if you're wondering why the hell did I decided to plant 75 varieties of tomatoes, I'm not selling the seed or anything, and I'm not selling the fruit or anything.
But I just moved to Poland and I brought as many seeds of tomatoes as I could, not just tomatoes, but especially tomatoes. And what I'm trying to do is to identify which varieties are going to be the best suited for this climate here. I've never lived in this country before. I am not accustomed to its climate, and I cannot, how should I put it, I cannot gauge, or I cannot deduct, what's the words I'm looking for? I cannot know what's the optimal or like average climate here to decide on which varieties to grow. So I just decided to grow everything I had, and whatever does well, whatever thrives, whatever doesn't die, whatever doesn't get killed or eaten by pests and disease and fungi, fungusaceae, is going to be, or are going to be the varieties that I'm going to keep on growing. And also, by keeping the seed year by year, I'm going to acclimatize them and get them used to this specific environment, so they will become stronger, better, faster, smarter in this climate and environment.
Okay, so this one was trellised here. As this little one grows, it's going to reach this point, and this two here. Okay, what you need to listen to your instinct as well. If your instinct says that this is too busy and it would benefit from this airflow here, then you trust your instinct and you snip this bad boy out, even if it has fruit sets already. This is what I was saying before about being painful and having that, you know, feeling in your gut that you shouldn't do it. Just do it, because look at this beautiful square of airflow that we created, and I'm gonna snip this one as well, and this is gonna benefit this side, this side, this side, this side, and in the middle. And this is just gonna go into the bin, This is just going to be put into the water, rooted, and we're going to have another plant in about 2 weeks. And I'm going to do the same here. Same principles applies, just to get some airflow on the top. Again, if you're using these suckers for more plants, this is a no-brainer. But still, even if I know all of this, I still get that fuzzy feeling in my stomach every time I'm doing this. And that's fear. Fear of failure, fear of killing the plant, fear of not having the harvest. But fear is a very good teacher and a very good indicator of what you should do. Because by going against fear and not giving in to fear, you're actually breaking walls in your subconscious mind. You're breaking walls and you're becoming better, more adapted, and just grow as a human being. Fear shouldn't be a paralyzing factor, shouldn't be stopping you from living life and from trying new things. Because look, the new things are life. And this raspberry is going to be delicious. Okay. Ow, something bit me. Charlie bit me. Okay, Charlie, are we done? Almost done. Same for this guy, needs to be trellised a bit here, but we're gonna let it grow a bit. Let's take this down. But if you remember how it looked in the beginning,
look how much airflow it has now.
taller, that is. If you have 30 to 50 centimeters from the ground to the plant, like 1.5 foot, almost 2 feet of airflow, that's good enough, because the plant is going to keep growing taller and regrow the foliage that it lost.
This I always leave it on the ground. It becomes chop and drop mulch, and the plant keeps on growing and thriving, and everything is well. Now this is a sector that I didn't do, so let's do this quickly. Chop this borage a bit and make some airflow. Flower, flower, leaf. Flower, leaf, 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 leaf. This one can come here and try to trellis on top.
Okay, I'm happy with this. I'm happy with this amount of airflow. And with this guy coming from below already setting fruits, nice and beautiful. I hope it makes sense. I'm really struggling to film this outro anywhere and still show you, the conclusion of the defoliation, tomato defoliating video, because it's so hot and because the sun is so bright. Not cursing the sun, I love you, Amun, but it would be a very overexposed video, and I don't want to torture you with another overexposed video. So I'm here hiding in the shade, and I'm trying to just show you some of the results. I'll flash some results as well that I filmed separately. Hopefully they will be good enough for you guys to see, especially because I'm showing you a short video of the current gold rush tomato bush that we did together in the tutorial in the middle of the video. So I'm going to show you the results of that and how heavy and how abundant that bush has become since I've done the defoliation. And there's no signs of disease, there's no signs of blight, of powdery mildew, there's nothing. So what I have here is another tomato variety. It's called Ponetane Romanesco. I think I'm pronouncing that correct. and next to it is some black cherry tomatoes. The same, yeah, we did halfway and we stopped at half, and then the top half now has new flowers sets, so we will expect more production soon. And this is 2 weeks after the defoliation, so there is a small shock. You will see it in the first week, but if you feed them enough stuff and the soil is good, if they have enough water, the only sign to know that your tomatoes are good is to see if they produce more suckers or if they produce new growth, if they start growing upwards or sideways. Sometimes, you know, they grow from different points if they don't have a main leader. If, I don't know, it broke, something happened when you trellis them, they will start side shoots. That's it. I don't want to make this too lengthy and too wordy. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for liking, for subscribing, for clicking the bell, for supporting me in every way you can. Thank you very much to all of you who have been sending me stuff in the PO box. You have no idea how useful that is. Even if it's not seeds or tools or, oh my god, you guys send me pots and other stuff. Even if it's not that and it's just a letter to tell me, I don't know, some kind words or to give me some feedback, that's extremely appreciated and valuable to me. So thank you very much for your input, thank you very much for your attention and for your support and patronage as well. Thank you very much to all of you who are supporting me on Patreon. You have no idea how beneficial that is for somebody who's trying to do this, for somebody who left everything behind, for somebody who's stubborn and doesn't want to get a job because getting a job and doing this full time is not compatible, it's not going to work. For somebody who wants to do right by nature and by mankind. Thank you very much for everything you do for me. I appreciate you and your time, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.